Exomologiste to Kyrio te agathos, alleluia.
Otis ton neona to eleos aftu, alleluia.
You guys need to be advocating and fighting and pushing for an autonomous region in the Nineveh Plains, and then maybe even an independent country.
Yeah,
You know?
that's the goal. That's it.
Yeah.
But how would you say? There's a lot of voice splitting. It's conflicts between our people as well.
Yeah, between the Chalcedon and the Assyrian.
Yeah, exactly. That's the biggest problem, I would say. But
Yeah.
after, if it's possible, to unite all of us, all of the groups,
Yeah.
I think it would go like.
Well, this is why Christians need to be embodying an ecumenical attitude. Because the thing is, Christ didn't establish any of the institutions that we call church. He established a people, he established a covenant people, and then those people went on to establish these things that we call the institutions of the church. And that took time. But the Spirit is active in all of these denominations, in all of these groups. And when we consider about the challenges that we face and the battles that we face, the ISIS didn't care whether you're a Chalcedian or a Syrian. They just saw you're a Christian. And I think our attitude should be, when it comes to the things we're against, because all Christians are against ISIS domination, that all Christians put their denominational differences aside to unite to fight against the things that we're against. Common enemies, of which there are a legion of common enemies, more than enough to keep us busy. So that's my thought on that.
Is it true that the Catholic and Orthodox Church are going to recombine soon, or are talking about recombining?
They've been talking for decades about recombining. I know that Pope Leo, when he was in Nicaea and in Constantinople, that he talked about the idea of his desire for a full communion between Catholic and Orthodox churches. But the truth is, vicariously through the churches in the Middle East, they're already in communion. Because in the Middle East, and you guys might be able to speak into this, there's like this rule that says if you can't get to the church of your denomination, you can take communion in like the Catholic denomination or in the Syrian denomination.
Some churches, but not all of them.
Yeah.
It's very specific. Like one church has to speak to another church.
Yeah.
Not the whole of, let's say, Orthodox church.
Yeah, but vicariously, by those acts of unity, the whole communion is actually vicariously reunited. And I think if it's already happening on the ground at these low levels, why can't we build on it? Why can't we escalate it upwards? And as Christians, we need to be working towards full unity, and unity on the things that unite us. Like here in this park, where we're fighting a battle of evangelism here in this park. We can't be fighting, Syrians versus Chalcedons versus Orthodox versus Roman Catholics versus evangelicals, when we've got all these non-Christians to be evangelizing.
That's what Andrew Wilson says a lot when Protestants henpeck him about his language.
Yeah.
He says, what are you getting on me about? We have to come together to fight the wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, if there's any group of Christians that need to hear the message of unity, it's Protestants. They divide over everything. And it's just like, why?
Well, I myself am non-denominational.
Yeah, me too. I'm ecumenical.
If I were to go anywhere else, it would be Orthodoxy.
Yeah.
But because I tried out a couple, some stuff happened while I was deployed and everything, and so that's when I started my walk with Christ again. And I tried out different churches. I went to a Coptic Greek church. And it was all in Arabic, and I was like the only white guy.
Right.
So I felt, not that they were all great, don't get me wrong. I just felt a little strange being there, so I went to Protestant church, and thank goodness that they're not a crazy liberal, because the thing I've always said is most bad churches are Protestant. Not all Protestant churches are bad, at least in the States.
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
And in the States, that'll be true.
Yeah.
You know. But I think as Christians, we need to recognise that, you know, that there's three battles that we've got to fight. One battle is against liberalism, that is penetrating, you know, the Church of England, lots of Protestant churches, and is recentering our faith off Christ and onto the self. But the other battle we need to fight is against ethno-nationalism, which is penetrating Orthodox churches. You know, the Russian Orthodox Church, the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, where they're recentering the Christian faith not on Christ, but on one's ethnicity. You know, yeah, and actually, what we need to do is we need to, all of us, keep Christ at the centre. And if we keep Christ at the centre, then that means we're going to be pulling together. We're going to be drawing together. You know, and then the third battle that we have to fight is against Islamization. You know, because Islamization has progressed in our societies. And we need to reverse it. We need to reverse it in Syria. We need to reverse it in England. And I think one of the ways that you guys need to do it, the Assyrian churches, is amongst Iraqis and Syrians. You need to re-galvanize a sense of pride, ironically enough, in your Assyrian ethnic heritage. Because when you throw off Arabization, you draw people away from Islam, and it opens them up. And if the Assyrian Christians are the ones that are communicating this older identity, this older heritage of Assyrianness, then the people that are buying into that, which might be Muslims as well, will start to explore Assyrian Christianity. And if you're saying to them, look, this is not about giving up Islam, it's just about rediscovering we are Assyrians, not Arabs, then that will make it a more palatable message. But the moment they take that pill, it opens up a door to them, and it opens up a direction to them that they've not been able to go on.
Are we all just humans at the end of the day?
Well, yeah, at a basic level we're all humans, but obviously not all humans believe the same, and not all humans behave the same. And so just saying that we're blasé all humans doesn't actually help us to discern what's good or bad, or which direction we should move our society in. You know, guys, do you want to come in? Don't let the cameras push you out, please.
You say for us, who has like a lot of differences or small differences, how would we unite in the church on the low level?
Yeah,
if you know what I mean.
So I would say, firstly, is you unite about the things that you're against. Right, all the churches of the Middle East don't want to be dominated by Sharia law and Islam. So there's something you can unite around. All churches in the Middle East are under pressure and persecution from the Muslim majority. So you can unite around helping one another. But then it's also, so that's your first and easiest level of unity, is unite about the things you're against. You know, unite against liberal secularism, unite against heresies. But then from that you can build on other forms of unity, which is to celebrate your commonalities. Like the Chalcedons and the Assyrians pretty much have all the same saints. You know, you have liturgies that are almost identical. Like, celebrate your commonalities, the things that are obviously common. And that's the slightly harder, but it's very achievable form of unity. And then beyond that, it's about exploring the unexpressed, undervalued aspects of unity. So, for instance, I always sort of catch Protestants off guard with the idea that they do venerate the apostles, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John particularly. They venerate the four evangelists, just like Catholics do. And that's a point of unity that lots of Protestants don't appreciate that they have with Catholics, you know. An example, I'm trying to think of an example the other way, just to be fair, you know, but I can't think of one right now. You look like you want to say something.
Yes, exactly. You're reading my body language correctly. How would you unify with people that don't have religious faith?
Well, that's the point. As Christians, we're not called to unify with people that aren't in the covenant. So actually, Not exactly fuck them. No, that's not what I'm saying. And that's too binary in your thinking. As Christians, we're united in a covenant, and that is the basis of our identity. And we have to be separate from those that aren't in that covenant.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that our attitude is to say, fuck you, you're not part of the covenant.
Okay.
Our attitude is to love our neighbour like we love ourselves. So our way of relating to those outside of the covenant is to find the common goods between us.
Yeah.
The things that are better for everybody. Like,
yes.
I want clean rivers.
Yes.
Which means that I want clean rivers for you. I want a society where, people aren't breaking into your home.
No.
So I want a society in which your home is protected. So it's about loving your neighbour as yourself and pursuing for you the good that I want for myself. And that's how we relate as
So if we were going to build like a
people.
state, we'd have like girders that say, okay, everyone's allowed the freedom to have their own religion, but no one's allowed to like transgress on anyone, like past a level where it gets unfair or whatever. And like we'll just we'll be like liberal in our freedom that we can do what we like, but just don't transgress any other people. And that seems like a good idea, Bob. I agree with you.
No, that's not what I said.
Oh.
You're putting words in my mouth that I haven't said at all. So it would serve you better in this conversation to actually either ask a question to learn what I mean and what I believe, or to engage with what I actually say. So the reality is you can't establish any state that isn't governed by a governing ideology. Like, that's just a reality. The liberal Western secular states that are humanist in their doctrines
represent.
They have belief systems, and they punish people for not sharing those systems.
Yes, we
Lots
do.
of Christians have
We
lost
absolutely
their
do.
jobs for simply being Christian in the workplace, or for being Christian in the state. And so this idea that the state just doesn't transgress other people is unworkable. I would advocate, though, that we need a state that's Christian, and if we're going to transgress people's freedoms and say, no, actually, you can't do that, we should do it on Christian terms, not on liberal humanist terms. Do you want to reply to that?
Yeah, sure. So let's say if we look at England or the UK and we find that Christianity is only like 30-40%, you're saying you want that 30-40% to have that ideology injected into our government system so that the government's power shall be like dictated through moral thinking of Christianity. And it would say, this is right and this is wrong based on that ancient book. And you're saying this is going to be a better system than humanism, where we look at the suffering and pleasure of human, the thriving and like goodness of each human's life, and say, oh, how should we build a society, not with ideology or dogma, but just trying to like evidentially build up our policy so that everyone can like flourish in this society, be a little bit free, get rid of fucking stupid ideas from ancient times, and just like live it up.
Right. Well, firstly, let's just say something that maybe he doesn't appreciate, is humanism is the oldest idea. It's a Greco-Roman idea. It's an idea that's rooted in Greek paganism. And let's just destroy the other myth, which is that humanism is about human flourishing. It's not. It's not about human flourishing. Liberals are responsible. Are you going to start interrupting? Are we going to do that? Liberal humanism is responsible for the biggest, most continuous genocide of human beings that the world has ever seen. It's called abortion. 90 million human beings have been killed by humanists. Furthermore, humanism, basically, particularly liberal humanism, has led to Western society decaying and dying on the vine, because it has no basis on which it can object to Islamization.
Oh my goodness.
It has no basis on which it can organize our society into a common culture. All it does is argue for a civic contract between individuals and the state. Christianity can give a narrative that is comprehensive to the whole of society and bind people together in a community that is historical and that is cohesive. And it's actually cohesive societies that have a sense of themselves that allow for human flourishing. So it's just sound bites to say that humanism is about human flourishing. It's clearly not. You know, we look at a society that's got, and I'm landing so you can reply. We look at a society where this liberal, secular, humanist society has massive problems in narcotic abuse, is participant in a genocide of many human beings through genocide, has led to the breakdown of families, which has led to an increase in crime, an increase in, you're pushing people back, right? Leading to a breakdown in families, leading to an increase in crime, an increase in mental health problems, an increase in drug abuse. Humanism is not leading to our flourishing, it's leading to our death. Go on, come reply now.
Well, quite a damning critique of our society, I believe there. But maybe he's wrong on the statistics and numbers. Stephen Pinker wrote a book called Enlightenment Now, where he tracked measurable statistics of human well-being and flourishing. Death in the workplace, child mortality, violent crime on streets, all sorts of metrics. There's like hundreds and hundreds. The fact that I'm running short to name them is not an error on the book, it's an error on my mind, yeah? And he trends them all. We're doing incredibly well. It's your stupid media that is brainwashing you into thinking the world's on fire. Like even that, energy and renewable energy stuff, we're making progress on pollution and all sorts of stuff. The application of the Enlightenment principles, which is we pay attention to the world and we govern it based on the feedback loop of seeing what works and seeing what doesn't, yeah? We've making incredible progress. This chap wants to go back to Christianity and theocratic rule of this nation. Christianity, because it makes me feel warm and cuddly with my neighbours. Well, let me be no one to steal away his Christianity from him. You go and have your Christianity. You go and hug your brother and have good fun. And that's the end of my point.
Right, but notice what he's advocating. He's saying, we don't want you to rule society by your philosophy, we want to rule it by ours. When are the humanists going to accept the doctrine of not being the established religion? When are humanists going to stop lecturing us about, oh, you want to run society according to your religion, when they want to run society according to their philosophy? And let's be clear, their philosophy is a philosophy of death. It is not for nothing that our society is now bringing in euthanasia laws. Why? Because of the worship of the NHS. Because we want to save budgets on the NHS, it's easier to kill the elderly and the infirm than it is to look after them. Let's be clear, we are looking at demographic collapse in Italy, in Germany, in France, in UK, in Japan, which has adopted liberal secular humanism. These countries are facing demographic collapse. That's not exactly the definition of thriving humanity, is it? If you're not having children, if you don't have enough people at the bottom of the pyramid to look after the people at the top of the pyramid. It is not human thriving to be so impoverished that you have to stick your parents into care homes because your families are too weak to look after your own parents who looked after you when you were children. It's not human thriving for people to think that abortion is health care. Killing babies is not health care. That is a lie, ladies and gentlemen. The reality is liberal secular humanism is flawed at the source, at the foundations, because it says there is no God, there is no absolute truth, we just make it up on our own, and because they start from that principle that we just make it up, that means that we can change it and change it and change it however the wind blows. And the reality is that our society is dying because liberal humanism has grown into progressive liberalism. Do you want to reply to that?
Oh, it's my turn again. Brilliant. Bloody hell. You do go on a bit, don't you, Bob?
Notice the manners of the liberal humanist. Human thriving, respect. These are their mantra, but look at the fruits of the behaviour.
What are you saying?
Carry on.
It's my turn. Oh, it's at third point. Okay. We all ready? So I'll call that hyperbolic language. You see him? And these people that want to introduce euthanasia. That's what we call hyperbolic language to spark up emotion. It's one of the big problems in our world. It's narrowing the window of thought and increasing the temperature so that we all get riled up and really mad. If you really want to decide on the morality and the morality, the ethics around euthanasia, that debate, we can talk about it. I actually want to go into it. So just to present to you, Bob, I'm there, 75 years, doctor comes over, you got a fucking terminal leukemia. We don't think you're going to last for more than a month. And I'm fucking just kill me now. This is fucking horrendous, kill me. No, Jesus loves you. You must sit there sweating on morphine like a cunt for ages and ages. Is that what you think that world is better for us, do you?
Shall I reply?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. It would be a better world if we didn't kill the ill and the elderly. But let's be clear about what will really happen with euthanasia laws. You're going to find people being pressured to kill themselves as they are doing in Canada, as they are doing in the Netherlands, where they're allowing people who are severely depressed to commit suicide, suggesting to people, as they have done in Canada, that they euthanize their severely disabled babies, because their babies will be a drain on the state, ladies and gentlemen. It's a slippery slope. Now, what is at the heart of the problem? The heart of the problem, and the thing that divides the secular humanist from the Christian, is the secular humanist says that I am God. I make the ultimate decisions about my life in all areas, including when it should end and when I should have children. As a Christian, we believe in an authority above ourselves, and that authority above ourselves limits our behavior. Can you not see the problem of a humanity that believes that there should be no limits on its choices and on what it decides to do, ladies and gentlemen? Can you not see how that is problematic for society? In a liberal society in which everybody is God, in which everyone is God, then a man can simply say that they are a woman, walk into a woman's changing room inside the NHS and undress in front of female nurses, making them feel uncomfortable, and no one can say boo to such a man. Now, I want you to remember, this is the man that's all about human flourishing and coming together and about mutual respect. Is he practicing what he preaches in this conversation? Are you seeing it in his behavior? Because that's the point. Liberal humanists give you a sermon about their behavior, but then feel at liberty whenever they want to exempt themselves from their own rules.
Okay, I think it is well known that a man that thinks he's right can do incredible harm. And he said it. We as Christians have the authority from God. So what more rightness could you possibly have than that sort of Christianity? We are right. We are going to decide. We have justice on our side. This is wrong and that is right. That is wrong and this is right. This is everything you're doing. This is what I'm annoyed about. This is why I'm saying humanist Enlightenment values, its principal core thing was to look at reality, try and affect it, see the outcome of its effect, and feed it back in, and learn what is good for humans and what is bad for humans. So if we look at that euthanasia case where that guy is on the bed coughing and he sits there and you come in and say, God says let him live. He sits there for a month in absolute agony and then dies, and you walk around in the park triumphantly saying, we love life. And then the opposite end of the scale, let's say there's a mother that has a baby that's 3 months old, a fetus that is 3 months old in the womb, and we are able to detect that the lungs are not going to be able to develop. Yeah, we know that that baby has no viability. As soon as it comes out, there is nothing we can do for it. So what are we going to do? I have the sword of Christianity. Abortion is always wrong and murder. So I strike this and say, this must continue. Or do we be... No, if we allow this natural path to continue, the mother is going to be in unbelievable suffering. It's going to be unbelievably sad. They're going to give birth to a stillborn baby, and it's just going to be horrible. This is an actual case. There's hundreds of cases in the fucking US because them fucking far-right Christians got a handle on the fucking Republican Party, and they all went marching towards the great sword of Christianity, the great sword of Islam. It's all theocratic bullshit. The only way to know what's right and wrong is to put your mind onto the attention of human life and try and detect, oh, did that make us happy? Did that make us sad? Oh, are we missing community? Are we doing this and doing that? You can't just fucking get a sword of God.
Okay, right. So firstly, let's be clear. As Christians, we don't believe that I just open up my Bible, decide what's right and wrong, and decide for everybody else. That isn't how Christianity works. If you now notice once again the level of respect from the respect brigade, like in terms of, and if he interrupts me again, I will start interrupting him at my leisure, ladies and gentlemen. So, Christians don't approach the issue of decision making and go, well, here's my Bible, I've decided what's right and what's wrong, and everybody else has to obey me. No Christian accepts that behavior in our churches. And if you look at Christian spirituality, we practice the idea of individual discernment, where through engagement with the revelation of Scripture, with the teachings of the fathers, with holy tradition, with looking at natural law, we go on to make decisions based upon our core values that are consistent to well-established values, ladies and gentlemen. But look at the liberal progressive humanism, because he tried to talk about the fact that Christian theocracy is dictatorship. Well, I'm sorry. Isn't it the case that the liberal secular humanist society during the lockdown imprisoned us all in our homes? Didn't the liberal secularist humanist society tell us what we cannot and can say? Aren't they about to pass an anti-Muslim hatred law limiting our freedom of speech? Ladies and gentlemen, the reality is that liberal secular humanists play a double talk, a double speech upon the rest of us. They attack us for the very things that they want to do themselves. They say you're disrespectful because you believe as Christians that your faith is the truth. But how was he any different? Them fucking Christians, he said. Them fucking Christians. Does that sound like bigotry, ladies and gentlemen? He attacks you and maligns you as a Christian, saying that you're disrespectful, and yet the liberal secular humanist was disrespectful to every Christian that could hear his voice. The reality is the Enlightenment, ladies and gentlemen, is a distortion of Christianity. It's based upon the principles of natural law. Natural law is a Christian idea. And everything about the Enlightenment emerges from the ideas of natural law. But as liberalism has progressed over the last 200 years, it has lost touch with its Christian base. And as it has lost touch with its Christian base, it has begun to unravel and dissolve as a society and as a civilization. Any questions on the topic? Any questions on the topic?
Liberal Christians, Bob. What do you think of the Pope saying that it's Europeans who are against illegal immigration into the country are like unchristian? Well, the Vatican takes 0 refugees and the Pope is guarded by armed guard behind borders. Wow.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let's be clear. Lots of people will try to use the Pope's voice to make them say what they want him to say. And the liberal media are well known for misrepresenting the Pope, who does believe in borders. No, ladies and gentlemen. No, ladies and gentlemen. It is hypocritical, and it is a fault for anyone to say that there shouldn't be armies defending you if they have an army defending them, or that there shouldn't be borders if they have borders in their own lives. And that's why all liberal voices on the question of mass immigration are hypocrites, because they believe in their own borders. And you don't see Gary Lineker rushing to take in refugees, ladies and gentlemen. But whilst there should be controls on immigration, and there should be controls on refugees, we should at the same time, when we take in people legitimately, treat them with respect and honour and dignity. And the point of both sides of this argument is they're falling into extremes. And the real basis, the place where the church should position itself, is to uphold the idea of borders, to uphold the idea of filtered migration, to uphold the idea of a sensible refugee policy, and to uphold the dignity of refugees and migrants who enter under legal systems. Ladies and gentlemen, the left falls into the extreme of saying kick them all out, and the right falls into the left falls into the extreme of no borders, let everybody in unchecked, unfiltered in any way, and the right falls into the extreme of saying kick them all out. And the reality is neither of those positions embody Christian teaching. Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen?
What do you think of Saudi and Qatar making money out of illegal migrant hotels while they take 0 refugees into their country?
I can't talk about something that I don't know about. However, if Qatar and Saudi Arabia have established businesses profiting from illegal refugees, the people to blame are the British government, because it's the British government that allows those things to happen, ladies and gentlemen. And more to the point, it's the British electorate who votes in the government, and so we only have ourselves to blame for allowing our governments to allow the circumstances in the first place.
Well said, Bob, well said.
Any other questions on any aspect of the Christian faith?
Yes, could you preach the gospel to us?
So, ladies and gentlemen,
Could you preach the gospel?
if you interrupt again, I will not answer your question.
Well, I'm very sorry.
Okay, any other questions by any other person? I am not going to engage with this troll, so if you have a question, now's your chance to ask a question. Going once, not interested in engaging in him. Any other questions? Any other questions?
You are a fake. You are a fake.
Why are you being aggressive? Why are you pushing me? Why are you pushing me? Stop pushing people then. Stop pushing people though. Mr. Potato Head, you can't deal with this corner. Go away, bro. Stop pushing people. Why are you being aggressive? Why are you being aggressive? You need to calm down. You've drank too much coffee. You are accountable to God for the way that you're behaving right now. You're being a sectarian troll. No one is interested in talking to you. Okay. Right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. We're not interested in dealing with the troll. If you have a question, now's the chance for you to ask a question about any aspect of the Christian faith. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why we must reject the poison of sectarianism. The sectarian Christians come to this corner and they attack other Christians. They disrupt other Christians. And why do they do it? Because of their idolatry of denominationalism. Because they make that which is not primary, primary. And they make that which is secondary or tertiary the most important thing, ladies and gentlemen. As Christians, we're united in the Nicene Creed. We're united in the core that Jesus is our Saviour, ladies and gentlemen. And that's what we must unite around and base our activism upon. Okay. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen?
There's no fruit of the Spirit showing there, man. No fruit.
Yeah. Brother, the one that you need to give that lecture to is him. Not him. He works with Christians in this park. Do you come to this park often? 1 second. Do you come to this park often? Yes. Right. Then you should be able to identify which Christians work together and which don't. So go and have a talk with him, because you're lecturing the wrong brother. You're lecturing the wrong brother. Go and speak to the sectarians, not to the ecumenists. Okay, guys. Does anybody want to ask a question?
Are you born again?
Every Christian is born again, brother.